We're in front of my office at 1613 Central Street. This is an old English birch tree which was planted originally in the 1700s when the town was first incorporated. There were several arborists, I guess, that came around and were planting certain trees around the town, and this was one of the oldest ones in the town of Stoughton. Actually, a couple of years ago, tried to get in touch with the University of Massachusetts, the Arborist Division, to see if they could give an estimate for the age of the tree. So we're putting it at about 300 to 350 years of age. The tree obviously has been here for quite a while. About 4 years ago, there was a hurricane that came by and knocked it down and actually crushed my car, which fortunately I wasn't in at the time. We've been working previously on this tree with a local arborist to try to keep the tree alive because certain parts of the top limbs were starting to come apart a little bit, and we were getting ready to chain it so it wouldn't collapse. And at one time the tree was, I'd say, about 3 stories high because it was over the height of the building, which is a 3-story building. So when it came down, aside from the fact that I felt pretty lucky that I was in the car when it fell and I'm still here to talk about it, I wanted to save the tree because it had kind of a lot of history to the town. And on top of that, this building has some history too, because one of the original owners was a big businessman in the town of Stoughton, and he unfortunately perished on the Titanic. So there's a little bit of history in this one little part of Stoughton on Central Street. And I envisioned this as having some kind of a sculpture on it because it was a pretty large tree. I was asking around for people to give me recommendations for tree sculptors, and I heard about Jesse, and it took about 1.5 years for us to finally get together, and we started this project about 1 year ago. And right now we're at the point of having a tooth with sunglasses, and hopefully it'll be a nice little addition to the town of Stoughton. It's kind of like a little happy thing where the tree can't be around anymore, and I could have taken it all the way down to the ground, but now it has some more life, and we're giving it a second life in the town of Stoughton.
Well, I'm a professional chainsaw sculptor, and so that's what I do. And my range is all over the spectrum, all over the country, all over the world. So if you look at my portfolio, actually, themachinejessegreen.com, you'll see some cool stuff. And if you click on stuff, you can see things in the process. I was a sculpture major in college, and I had in the back of my mind that I always wanted to try chainsaw sculpture one day. And I happened to be driving down the road in Dartmouth, in the town. I just cut down this nice, fresh-looking, juicy-looking section of pine tree, and I just kind of thought I'm grabbing that. And it was the messiest but coolest decision of my life, and I went and bought my first chainsaw. I'd never used a chainsaw before in my life. Didn't know if I was going to kill myself, but I didn't. It was love at first cut, and that was about 17 years ago. The rest is history. It had been cut when I came to see it at first, but it was a little taller than this, and above this was a lot of rotted stuff. And so we had to wait a little while for that to be topped off even further, and then just that 3 or 4 foot space of chunk that had to come off the top needed a big crane, because this is a big tree. I mean, I can't even really do it justice. Just to describe it, maybe, hopefully me stand next to it, but even from one side, I'm not sure that it tells a full story. But if you can see what I can feel walking around this thing, it's kind of like, oh, that's a big tree.
Since the tree's so old, there wasn't sealants at the time, so the tree obviously didn't have a sealant. We did some preventive work. We stopped the decay from progressing, and we're just gonna have to keep it like that. It is an old tree and it is an old tooth, so you can't have perfect pearly whites all the time. So we're kind of stuck with this little indentation. But I wouldn't mind being 350 years old and being this strong either right now.
Because I'm adding on these arms, which I carved in my studio out in Medway yesterday, and they came out cool. They're drying right now. I've got some stuff going on. That's the challenge, because I want to make it solid, and I want to make it as straight and as perfect as I can.
And I've been in Stoughton for 37 years, so I feel a pretty strong commitment to the community. So I'm just trying to add a little levity to the fact that I'm being a dentist, and people will smile when they come by, and maybe it'll even make them think about my practice and stopping by with their children. After all, it is a pediatric practice.
I am relieved. Because every project starts off with me being a bundle of nerves. How am I gonna, can I pull this off? I gotta make sure this is perfect, and I'm a perfectionist, and every tree is so different. This one, as you can see, was about as rotted could be in certain spots. I kind of call this the Death Star, so I had to really carve around all that, figure out how to maintain the girthiness of this thing and make it the biggest tooth possible, while taking care to make sure that I didn't cut too far, because it cut too far and the whole thing could be ruined. And then the finish, trying to do that outdoors, you're dodging raindrops and hoping for sunshine, and we added on the arms and sunglasses, and that was all kind of winging it based on the fact that there were soft spots and hard spots. But I'm elated that it's done. I can't tell you how much, and now it's going to last a long time. And that's what it's all about. It's about creating landmarks that are going to last forever and put a smile on everybody's face. And this is a pediatric dentist, so we're better to do such a thing. You know what I mean?
Everybody give thumbs up to Jesse for the great work he's doing on the tree, and I hope people smile when they see it. And brush your teeth and floss.